We doing a quick shelf update tour. So I moved all my middle grades. This shelf here used to be where I would put all of my books that I'd read every month, so that it would be easier for my wrap-ups, but I haven't been doing wrap-ups really. I've just been talking about books that I really enjoyed, so I lowered the shelf one segment, as you can see, so I could fit bigger books on there. So I've got my middle grade and then a couple YAs that felt more middle grade-y. And then over here, I'm starting a small collection of my nonfiction essays because I never buy them, and I've bought several in the past couple months. These are the 3 I've read, and I've got 2 or 3 more on my TBR shelf, and just Stephen King overhang that is from this shelf. This shelf did not change at all, so let's move back to this one. This is my far left one if I'm looking at it, so you don't really ever see this when I'm filming. I've got my BTS shelf, part 1, part 2. This shelf didn't really change, I just adjusted the order of it. I did bring the 2 J. Kristoffs over from my right shelf. Yeah, anyway. Up here, I just adjusted some of the books over here. They used to be over here. Now, this shelf had been my like 4, almost 5-star reads, but I kind of shifted that around a little bit. I've got all my book of the month that's YA up here, and these are all 4, 4.5, even a 5-star duo here that just don't fit on my favorite shelf. Ooh, another favorites. And then this is the shelf that is the most changed and I like the most. All my adult book of the month picks, my romance / like contemporary, random, whatever, but these are all almost favorites, I would say, except this one, which was just okay. And then my favorite shelf. I just moved Victoria Schwab's collection down here. These are mostly 4, 4.5 stars for me, not 5 stars, but I don't know. Black and red is one of my favorite color combos, so it worked to just carry it through. And Empire of Gold is my newest in the collection. When I'm assuming The Burning God will be a 5-star read for me. We're just gonna throw that out there. Probably will be. I'm going to separate my Bear and the Nightingale trilogy because I've got the UK editions, 2 American editions, because this one's signed, personalized. So I don't know which one I'm gonna move. Probably these 3 into like a different shelf and keep these 3 since it's a full 3 collection here. And nothing really changed here. I just moved some more 5-star reads next to my manga and graphic novel shelf. The shelf didn't change, and then obviously my overhang. I'm not gonna touch any of this or any of these or any of this until we move, because we're going to try and get a house next year. And the same can kind of be said for this shelf, which was where most of my middle grade was, my Harry Potter books, you know, and then overhang of manga that I couldn't fit on my manga shelf. We all know Death Note's a favorite. I've got one of my absolute favorites here, and I've just kind of moved all of my YA overhang here. And then up here are more of my adult fiction, my Neil Gaiman and Christopher Moore collection, and then books that I might in the future unhaul, the Cruel Prince trilogy, The Wicked Deep, yada yada. And then up top are book of the months that I don't really like, and Sarah J. Maas. So that's it. If I do a pullback, can I step back without running into things? Yada yada yada. And we got my lights and stuff. But yeah, I like the middle shelves because this is where I do most of my like stand-up filming, my wrap-ups, TBRs, whatever goes there. I don't really like that shelf right there because when I sit on the ground to film, this is what you see in the background, and they're like not my favorite books, and it makes it look like I only read Stephen King and Murakami and like random other shit, but that is what it is. And then there's just the bottom shelves are terrible. You don't see them. But I don't want to tackle them until I move. I'm gonna like do a big unhaul of all the books that are just kind of there. So that's it. You see what I mean with this always being in the background if I'm sitting on my floor? It's just not, these aren't my favorite books. I don't want people to think those are what I read the most of. All right, hey guys, what's up? It's a new week. Technically, it's already Wednesday of this week, but I am trying to do a weekly reading vlog. After doing the reading rush last week and doing vlogs, I'm kind of back into it. Let's talk about what I'm reading this week. So after the reading rush, I wanted to tackle one of the biggest fantasies that I have on my TBR. So we're doing it. We're doing it. Brandon Sanderson's The Way of Kings. This is just over 1,000 pages. I'm 140 pages into it, so I'll talk about it in a second, but one of my goals is, like, that I made when I bought this a month or so ago, that I wouldn't buy any more books, like, from bookstores until I finished this. So when I was done with the reading rush, I was like, you know what, I read 7 books in 7 days. Let's take a breather and tackle something huge. And I'm loving it. I've heard really good things. I've also heard this is one of Brandon Sanderson's best works. The Stormlight Archive, is that what it's called? Like the overall name of it? Okay, yes, it's the Stormlight Archive. So, 143 pages in, which is approximately 14%, give or take. This is so far in 2 perspectives. One is Shallon, who is a girl that is like bright red hair and pale skin and freckled, which is not like the beauty standard in this world. She stands out, and she is from a family that is has a lot of enemies and is full of debt, and her father has passed away. But no one knows that, because if they knew that, he was a recluse before that, they would come after her and like it'd cause a lot of problems, and the dynasty that is her family would end. So she, and her storyline, she has come to a new village type thing. I never know how to talk about fantasy because obviously it's all made up, so we'll call it a village. And she wants to become a ward of this woman who is a Stormlight caster, and her main goal, Shallon's main goal, is to steal the like staff basically that this woman uses to do her magic, because if she does that, then she'll have a lot of power and her family won't disappear into irrelevance, etc. You're also following the story of Kaladin, who is a 19-year-old boy, man, who is like a soldier, a warrior, and when the story opens, basically his entire like group, his entire platoon basically is murdered, and now he's been enslaved, and all he wants is to wield a, what do they call it, a spear again. But yes, he's been bought and purchased, and now where we're at with him is that he is a bridge carrier for an army, which basically means they have to like pick up this really heavy bridge and like run for miles, and then they set it down and the army can cross, etc., on and on. It sounds like he's going to be very powerful. He's also got this little like wind sprite that only he can see that hangs out with him, and they just announced her name, but I can't remember it. She's got a nickname. It's very odd for them to have nicknames, these little sprites type deal. But I have a feeling I'm gonna like the character, the little thing, because I always tend to like those little, like, AIs are my favorite in a book full of humans. So I anticipate really liking this little fairy thing. So far, I really like Brandon Sanderson's writing. It's very immersive. You're in the world from the get-go, and the things that he comes up with and creates are beyond my imagination. There's the whole scene where the crate full of slaves is like going over hills and the grass literally goes under itself, like under the ground as they pass, so it doesn't get trampled, and then comes back up. It's like a defense mechanism that the grass has gained over time. Things like that. Or like Shallon and that whole thing, the women can't show their left hand, so their sleeves are cover it, and it's called the safe hand, I want to say, and then you have your free hand, so it's just like a modesty thing where they cover that. And it's just things like that, little details that set it apart from a lot of your average fantasy, I'd say. Not saying he's above anyone else in fantasy, but it adds, it's these little details to me that add an extra nuance, a different level that makes you really immersed in the story and be able to see it. Like there's a whole clan of people that have eyebrows that grow really, really long, and they keep them long. So like one guy has them fanned out, and other people like to grow them and then tuck them behind their ear and make it part of their hair. There was another person that like ringleted it, so when their bangs were down, it looked like it was an extension of their bangs. Like, just little details like that are hard to forget, and it just really brings a vividness to the story. So I'm not gonna get spoilery, I don't think, within this vlog, even though I'm going to try and get by Sunday. I would like to be halfway through, so at page 500. I don't really know if that's gonna happen, especially if my husband is genuinely sick. He looks pretty crappy right now. It's a terrible thing to say, but it's the truth. So I might not get a lot of free time to read, but that's my like big goal, is by the end of this vlog I'd like to be halfway through. So then it'll become a little trickier to navigate talking about the book without giving spoilers, but I'll do my best, and if I get to points where it's spoilery, I of course will let you know. And that said, I will also continue listening to audiobooks when I have the ability to outside of this, because sticking to one book this thick for a while does get a little tedious sometimes. So I'm nearing the end of The Chain, which I've talked about in my previous vlog, which is a horror thriller novel. And this will be a little spoilery. So if you heard what I said in my past vlog, this will be irrelevant, but the core of this story is that you get pulled into the chain when someone you love is kidnapped. You are called by the kidnapper, and it's explained to you. I have your kid. Here are the things you need to do, the rules you need to follow. You need to give this amount of money into Bitcoin to this person, or whatever, this identity, and you have to kidnap someone else. Once you do that, call me. And the person who did the kidnapping, their loved one will get released. So it's always like 2 steps ahead. The next 2 more kidnappings have to happen before the person you love is released. And everything has to go perfectly to plan. So you have to plan out who is good to kidnap, because they can't go to the cops and they can't involve tons of other people and yada yada. And if anything like that happens, then you and your family are murdered. It's pretty fucked up. So that's the summation of it. But now I'm at a point where, and this is where the spoilers come in, so if you don't want to read it, you can hang out and listen, or if you've read it and you don't mind hearing, here are the spoilers. We're at a point where our main character, Rachel, her daughter was one of the people that got kidnapped. Her name is Kylie, and she has got Kylie back. But now they're suffering a lot of like PTSD, and once you're in the chain, you're always in the chain. So like you might be called on to do something. She randomly had some guy walk up to her, and his like thing that he had to do to her to get the point across was he just like wholesale punched her in the gut. And you could tell he was upset about it, because you don't want to you've done your part and it sucked and it's ruined your life, and now you're still part of the chain regardless. So like you never get out. And Rachel is watching her daughter, who's only in 8th grade, like have recurring nightmares, and she's losing weight, and she's peeing the bed every night, and she's suicidal because she read her journal. And she's like, I can't do this anymore. We have to figure out who the chain is and break this. So her and her brother-in-law, who's like ex-military and was the person she was allowed to bring in and help her organize her own kidnapping and get Kylie back, they are risking a lot to try and find out information on the chain and get it shut down. So that's where I'm at in that book. I think that it's a smart and stupid move to do that. And we'll see how that plays out. After I finish The Chain, because I only have like 1.5 parts left to listen to, I think. I don't know what I'll listen to next on audiobook, so stay tuned for that information. But that's it. I need to go get the baby down for a nap, and then hopefully I'll spend a good portion of that nap reading, and I'll have an update for you tomorrow. That's it. Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing well. All right. Ooh, this is getting cut, but I just wanted to show off my bicep growth. Feeling like a real bro. Okay, the air's on, so hopefully you can hear me. It is Sunday. The last I updated, I said that I wanted to reach halfway in The Way of Kings by Sunday, and I did it. I didn't think I would. I just slightly over a halfway. I would say, what am I at, like 552 pages, which probably puts me at about 55% of the way through, which means that if I don't get sick and if I really put my mind to it, I can have this done by the end of this coming week, which will make this a 2-week reading vlog because I don't think it's worth splitting when I'm in the middle of the book. So this is the only thing I'm reading right now. I started the Paul Tremblay Cabin at the End of the World book on audio, and I'm not feeling audiobooks right now. I go through phases, and right now I'm not in an audiobook phase. So I'm just focusing all of my free reading time on this, and I'm really, really loving it. First though, let me say that I did not look further into this at all. I knew that there was more than one book. I thought there were 3 books out already, but I had never really looked into it. I just knew that whatever what will be. Like, I was gonna read them if I liked this one. It didn't matter to me how many were in the series. That's kind of how I went into Game of Thrones at the time too. So there are 3 out, and the 4th newest one is coming out in November, which means that I literally picked the perfect time to start this, because I'll read the first one this month in August, then I'll take a break and read like some of my TBR cart. I also have 3 books coming to me from Book of the Month, which hopefully will come tomorrow or Tuesday, and that way I can show you what I got. I'm really excited about the picks. I picked 1 new one and 2 like backlist ones that I have been meaning to get or read. Then in September, I will read the second one, which I can't remember what it's called right now, Words of Radiance. And then in October, I'll read Oathbringer. And then November will come and the new Stormlight Archive book will be out. That's the plan. I've made grander plans before. I've made smaller plans before and fallen through. So like, I don't know, I'm committed to it because I'm really, really liking this. So as I've said before, we're following 2 different perspectives. We've got Caladrin, or Cal, and we've got Shallan. So Cal is a slave. His life has been really weird. We're seeing flashbacks to previous years when he was still living with his parents and trying to decide what his calling is. The calling is like the thing that you decide, the path you decide to take in life, whether you're a soldier or a surgeon or an artist or a scholar or whatnot. So his calling had been to be a surgeon, but now we're seeing him present day, and he's like a slave. He's actually what's called like a bridge. He's a bridge man, which is when the soldiers have to fight, of like the town he's from, have to fight the people they're at war against. There are these chasms that they have to get over, and so the bridge people are just these slaves that are like people they don't care about, and they're gonna die because they'll get hit by arrows, because they're the first people to run out ahead with the bridges that they run out, set down, so that the soldiers can cross the chasm and get to the people to fight, or get close enough anyway. So Cal's like, he was, is this spoilery? We might start getting into spoilers here, so just in case, I'll write spoilery down here, just in case you haven't read this and you want to. Proceed with caution. I will try not to get too spoilery. He has decided that he doesn't want to just live the life he's living and die doing this, so he's kind of like pumped himself up, and he has made his team believe in him, so that he's like their leader, and he's like keeping them alive, which is very rare. Like, bridge people die regularly. They just, once you're a bridge man, like, you basically expect you're gonna die, and he's like, I'm not gonna do that. But there's something extra happening that I don't know what it is, but he's special. We don't know why yet. Shallan is, I mentioned in the last time, the last vlog, she is from a family that is like in a lot of trouble, and her father has died, and they're trying to keep it a secret, because once they find out he's died, they'll know that the soul caster that he has, which is like a way to perform magic, it's like a thing you wear, is broken, and the people that he had gotten it from want it back. So she is now in the same city that Caladrin is in, but they don't know each other at all. They have no relevance yet to each other. I say yet because I assume they will at some point. She is now the ward of the queen, basically. She's not in the same town. That's a lie. She's not in the same town. But the person that she is the ward of, her brother is the king of the town that Caladrin is in. Am I making sense? In any case, so she's the ward, and her like goal is to get, her name's Jasna, I would say Jasna's soulcaster, to bring back to her family. So that's her main goal, but she's trying to, obviously she doesn't want Jasna to know that, so she is pretending to be her ward to study under her. She's an artist, but her like main objective is to get this Soulcaster. I'm loving it. I prefer the Caladrin chapters because more action happens, whereas Shalyn is more of like a she's learning, so she's reading a lot of history, and it's more academic, and her chapters are a lot more mental, like she's going through things in her head and she's planning and plotting and learning and going through moments of morality and trying to like philosophically figure things out. So hers read a little bit slower in terms of pacing, but they're also very important and high tension because she's got this underlying thing that she's doing, and you don't really know at this point. Jocelyn is very, very intelligent, and you don't know if she does have a suspicion that Shalyn is there to do that or if she truly trusts her at this point. So that's all interesting. And in between these chapters, you get little glimpses of either the past, as I said with Cal, or there's just these interludes where you're getting little glimpses of stories that aren't directly relevant to what we're learning, but obviously have relevance to the story, where you're like learning little bits of information either from way in the past or like current day elsewhere. There's a lot of obviously land to cover, and I'm just really, really fascinated with it. I am enjoying it. It is not a chore to read, even though it feels like it's taking forever, because it is. This is 1,009 pages, I want to say. Something like that. I don't want to like spoil it for myself. We'll say it's at least 1,000 pages. I don't know if the next two books are they're probably just as long, if not longer. That tends to be the case when it comes to long series like this. But I haven't looked into it yet. I don't want to like wig myself out. But that said, that's all I'll update for you right now. I will do another clip like when I'm 3/4 of the way through. That'll probably be more spoilery because I'll be getting to like, you know, a climax of the story, and maybe I'll make some predictions and whatnot, or have some thoughts that if you haven't read that far, you probably won't want to see it, so I'll say that. But I know my plans for the next little while in terms of reading. Well, not what I'm going to read in the interims, but I did forget that my 2-year anniversary on book 2 passed in July. So yay, thank you for being here. If you've been here from the beginning, that's awesome. I can't believe it. Appreciate you being here. If you're newish here, I also appreciate you. Thank you. My time here has been up and down and wild, and I've read so many books and like met so many great people, and that's really what I started a channel for. I've got no real growth goals. I've got no real like, sure, I'd like to grow and continue growing and meeting new people and reading good books and having conversations about them, but what I started the channel as is a way to talk about a hobby of mine that I really enjoy and to connect with people that enjoy the same hobby. And I have succeeded in that, so I can't ask for more, and I appreciate everyone who's been here. So thank you for that. And that's it. It is August 2nd already. I said I wasn't going to buy any more books outside of Book of the Month, since I do get the monthly subscription still, until I finish this. But of course, when I finish this, I'm going to be getting Words of Radiance. So spoiler alert for future book hauls. I haven't done a book haul in forever, because if I did one for all of the months that I am behind on, it would be epic. And I'm not sure I want to destroy my shelves to do that. We'll see. Anyway, it's time for me to go feed my children dinner. I will not be reading any more tonight. My husband and I started the Umbrella Academy season 2. I really liked the majority of season 1, so I have high hopes for this show. Kraus is one of my favorite characters that has been on TV in recent years. My fucking on-haul pile is getting bigger and bigger. So yes, after I feed the kids, I'll feed myself and then probably watch Umbrella Academy until I have to go to sleep. Oh, I uploaded a video today, so I hope you've watched it. If you haven't checked it out yet, please do so. I will have it linked down below. It is like my favorite books that I read in June and most of July. All the books that I gave 5 stars, as well as some that I gave 4.5, close to 5 stars. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out. Because I read a lot of really great books through the summer so far. All right, hopefully I get this done. Let's see. Yeah, I would like to get it done by the end of the week, this coming weekend, because my kids start school in a couple weeks, and I would like to not be worried about it. I'm not worried, but like I'm gonna read less once school starts because I will be their teacher. All right, that's it. I'll check in when I get 75% through, so probably Tuesday or Wednesday. I'll see you then. Hey, I just got back from Target, and my Book of the Month box got here, so I want to show you what I picked. I don't really have any updates in terms of what I've been reading because I read, I don't know, 15 pages this morning, maybe, give or take. Regardless, my pick this month is The Death of Vivek Oji by Akwaeke Emezi. This is a story about a Nigerian mother who opens her front door and discovers her son dead on her porch. I don't know if he's even dead. I mean, obviously, but she discovers him wrapped in a bunch of colorful fabric, and then it's just like apparently a very heartbreaking story about family, and I am really looking forward to it. I think as soon as it's a pretty short read. As soon as I'm done with, look how thin this is, and the text is real big. As soon as I'm done with The Way of Kings, I'm gonna read this immediately. I'm really, really interested in it. And yeah, so the other two books that I picked up are ones that are from the past boxes, but books that I've wanted to read and just never purchased or was going to get from the library, and right now I'm not really picking up physical library books. So I got The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's about a man who's born into slavery. He's born on a plantation, and he's lost all memories of his mother. Sorry about my kids screaming in the background. They have like 6,000 volts of energy today. I don't really know what's going on. But he has like some kind of power. I don't know what the power is, but his whole goal is to leave the home he's in, the plantation, and move up north. I read a sample of it, which is why I ended up buying it, because I've heard that it's hard to get into because the writing is so lyrical and poetic, but I really want to check it out, so I'll let you guys know. And lastly, every time I've seen this book when I'm at like Target or Barnes & Noble, I want to get it, and I didn't get it last time because I'm not a religious person and I didn't know if it would be up my alley, but this is Sue Monk Kidd's The Book of Longings, which is a like feminist retelling from the perspective of the wife of Jesus, I want to say. Yeah, and again, this is it's one of those books I just keep getting pulled to. Like when I see it, I want to buy it. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna spend $10 on an add-on and pick it up and see what I think of it. I am really looking forward to this. So definitely I will be reading this up next after The Way of Kings, and then we'll see what I get to after that, because I do have, my TBR cart's not the fullest it's ever been, but I do have a lot of options. So, all right, that's it for my update right now. I just got back from Target. I haven't had coffee today, so I'm gonna make a cup of coffee and put the baby down for a nap and get some reading done, and that is that. All right, I'll check in later. Bye. Okay, we're at a new angle now because Finn just would not let me be. He's toddlers. You see the vacuum hanging out there because he's gonna break it. He's obsessed. Anyway, okay, I finished The Way of Kings. I absolutely loved it. I think Brandon Sanderson is one of the most brilliant character writers that is writing present day. From the most important characters who you get chapters from, Kaladin, Dolinar, and I call her Shallon in my head. That's probably not correct. Regardless, those three are like the most important characters that you follow in the book, and I love them as much as I loved some of the side characters that got like 50 pages in the whole thing. You just care about everyone, and one of the things that he does really well that is fascinating to see, and is also probably why his books are so long, is that you see so many perspectives and so many people's thoughts from fruition, from the seed to fruition, that no one is like wrong. Do you know what I mean? It gives you the ability to decide who you think the bad guy is. There's just this question of morality. Like Kaladin in this story is a slave. Dolinar, for example, is a high prince. So Kaladin, because he's been burned in the past by other people of Dolinar's status, automatically has this idea against him, and everything that Dolinar does in front of Kaladin, which isn't much, he has this bias against him and thinks that he's untrustworthy and that his honor is all just this fallacy. But then you know Dolinar as a reader because you get chapters of him and you know that he's actually honorable and he's doing the best that he can and he's making decisions based on what is best for everybody. So it's very fascinating because if you only got the story from Kaladin's perspective, then anybody besides slaves would be like really shitty people. But you know the reasons that Dolinar does what he does, and he doesn't actually really do anything bad. But he's a high prince, and not all of his decisions are going to benefit everybody, obviously. I really loved it. I'm really looking forward to what's to come in Words of Radiance. I've also already ordered Oathbringer. I have not yet pre-ordered the newest one, the name of which I haven't got in my head yet. I've looked at it about 1 billion times and it's not there yet. But I do intend to start this either today or tomorrow. I am currently buddy reading, as I said. The book of the month pick this month that I chose is The Death of Vivek Oji by Akwaeke Emezi. This is a story of Vivek, who is at this point a teenager in Nigeria, and he's the only son of his family, and he is gay. And it doesn't straight on the page say that yet, but all of his actions and the things that he wears and dresses and does, especially in Nigeria, he's not straight. So, you know, it's kind of a problem from where they are and the kind of life he's supposed to live. And you're seeing the story in chapters mostly from his cousin's perspective, who is also an only child, and you're not really sure of his story either. He's involved somehow. You know right out the gate that Vivek has died, because that's kind of how it opens, and we're going backwards and seeing like what catapulted to this catalyst, like what was the catalyst to everything that happened. And we don't really know what happened, and his mother's determined to figure out what happened, but it seems as though the cousin somehow knows stuff that would get him implicated, and he doesn't want his aunt to dig deeper. I really like the writing style. I am 46% through. Jamie's not far behind. We'll definitely get this done before my reading vlog is up this weekend, because it is a super fast read. It's only like 240 pages, and it moves very quickly, and the text is large. Like, you know, this is a Vivek chapter, and then that's weird, Osita. Normally the Vivek chapters are very short, and then Osita, his cousin, is like the longer, you get more story out of it. But after going from like a 1,000 and something page book to this feels super fast paced. So I kind of ripped through it. I haven't even put that much time into it, but I'm 116 pages in. It's almost directly halfway through. But I know Jamie's a little bit behind me, so if I have time to read this afternoon, then I'm gonna start this, because I want to go back into this world immediately. So that's it for now. Kids are kind of chilling, so I might read for a little bit, but also we got stuff to do, I guess, so. That's it. I wanted to update you that I did complete it. I completed it 3 days earlier than I'd anticipated. I thought it would take me till Sunday to finish, and I finished it yesterday, which was Thursday. All right, that's it. I'll check in with you at the end of the weekend with more reading updates. Okay, bye. Okay, it's another Monday, so I'm closing out my 2-week-long reading vlog. I wanted to extend it to 2 weeks so that I could finish at least a book, and I ended up finishing 2 books. One you already know I finished, which is The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. Give it 5 stars, you know how I feel all about it. And I have already started book 2, Words of Radiance. I'm only like 60 pages in, give or take. So this will probably be another 2-week endeavor. I expected Way of Kings to take me 14 days, 2 weeks entirely, and it took me, I think, 10 or 11. So I expect this to take the full 14 days. One, because I'm reading a little slower. This month is gonna get a little stressful with school starting. And 2, it's a little bit longer. And on top of that, I also got Oathbringer. Just, my husband was making a huge Amazon order, so I just threw it on the Amazon order to get the whole series so that I can read them back to back, because the 4th one comes out in November. That said, the other book that I read and finished, Death of Vivek Oji by Akwaeke Emezi. I don't know why I always get that wrong. Like, I stutter over it, even though it's pretty easy. Akwaeke Emezi wrote The Death of Vivek Oji, and I read this with Jamie. As I said, we like to buddy read our book of the month choices together if they align, and it was very quick, because not only is it very short, like 240 pages, but the margins are wide and the text is very large, and for an adult novel. And I think that the book suffered for its brevity. It had so many great themes. This book very much focuses on LGBTQ+ and how it is impacted the lives of people that are on the LGBTQ+ spectrum in places that aren't, you know, the United States, the UK, because it's not Obviously, it's not perfect here either, but this takes place in Nigeria, and it is very, very, very frowned upon if you feel that you are not what you were born as, or that you like the same sex as you, or what have you. And we have multiple LGBTQ plus characters in this book. However, I feel like Akwaeke tried to tackle a whole lot of really important themes, but because of how short the story was, you never really got to know much about Vivek himself. It's not really a spoiler, I guess. I mean, it is and it isn't, but Vivek ends up being more gender fluid. There's not really any word for it on the page, but sometimes he feels like Vivek and sometimes he feels like another person and is okay with being called she or he, doesn't matter. So I'm gonna call it gender fluid right now, for the sake of this conversation. And he's our main character, but you only really see him through the eyes of other people. And I think that the story could have benefited from more of him, even if it was from the perspective of other people. There just wasn't enough to feel an impact. The story, I knew that it was supposed to be very sad and very emotional and a roller coaster of a ride, but there just wasn't enough of the people that were very important for it to get that kind of reaction out of me. The writing is really wonderful, and as I said, the themes and the things discussed are great, but I feel like it was the tip of the iceberg, and we have all the ice under the ocean surface that could have been brought forth to make this story way more impactful. There's a theme that happens in terms of post Vivek's death. It's the first thing that happens in the book, so it's not a spoiler, but and his parents could have learned this big lesson about their beliefs and the system and what they could have done better, but it just wasn't really tackled because there wasn't a time to tackle it. And I just wish that there was more. I would have preferred an extra 100 pages of content to make the story more impactful than having a quick read. I give it 3.5 stars. The writing, again, was wonderful, and I wish that it had gone a little more in depth into the characters because the idea of it was just so beautiful and emotional and important, but it didn't nail it. So, do I recommend picking it up? Absolutely. It's a quick read. I would really like to hear from own voices, people that are both biracial and on the LGBTQ plus spectrum. Obviously, I consider that, but like not in the same regard by any means. So ones that more relate to Vivek and Vivek's fight, as well as other characters. We do have female and male LGBTQ plus. There's just a lot. It was everywhere. It was all over the place. And that was part of the other thing, is that it was a little disjointed. Like at one point you get a chapter in the middle of this that's from a third party that has no relevance to the rest of the story whatsoever, except it ties in very, very minutely near the end. And if the story had had more of those, like third party townspeople seeing things happen from their perspective, I think that that could have been a very cool way of tackling this book. But one random one just makes it feel random, you know? So not my best book of the month choice pick, but also not one that I'll forget, nor one that I think isn't worth your time. So there's that. And I wanted to briefly say, so I read those 2 books in 2 weeks, which is very minimal for me. But as I said, like, I'm at the end of the year. I've read over 100 books. My goal had been 100 for the year. So now I'm tackling, as you know, giant freaking tombs. And I'm okay with that. I'm moving slowly, and that's okay. I also wanted to say that I received a package in the mail from Lacey. She sent me The Graceling, or it's just Graceling, I guess, by Kristen Kishore. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but this is one of her favorite fantasies, and I've heard that despite the fact that it was written in like 2008, 2009, it's not dated like a lot of fantasy in the 2000s were. And I told her that I would absolutely read it. She had an extra copy, so she sent it my way. I might, depending on how long it takes me to get through Words of Radiance, I might tackle this after that, but I might need a break from fantasy. Like, that's why I picked up The Death of Vivek OG, because I wanted to read something that wasn't high fantasy. So we'll see. But speaking of Lacey, so thank you, Lacey. Speaking of Lacey, I don't have information yet, so stay tuned. I will get information as the future goes forward. But I think Lacey's starting a book club, and we're going to buddy read this book that I believe is her book pick for September. I'm gonna double check. I'll have her link down below. I'm sure she'll mention it more on her channel, but I picked this up because of her. That's The How and the Why by Cynthia Hand. I believe this is a YA contemporary, and it has to do with the main character Cass, I believe her name is. Let me double check. Yeah, Cassandra Cass, my hair, that is adopted, and it's kind of figuring out where she came from and who she is as a person without, while trying to navigate not hurting the people that have raised her, her adoptive parents. I've heard really good things, and I know Lacey and I talked about this when it was like first out, but she messaged me the other day and asked if I wanted a buddy read it in September, so look forward to that. But I did haul it this weekend, so I figured I would show you guys that. So a good week of hauls, because I got these two YAs and then the two Brandon Sanderson continuations in the Stormlight Archive. So that is it. That's the end of this reading vlog. I have to run to Target. I'm trying to get out of the house and away from the children because I am overwhelmed and I never... this pandemic. Ooh, also, are any BTS fans? Can you see this? I don't know if you can see it. BTS and Stonehenge, a jewelry company, did a collaboration, and they made 3 different versions of necklaces that had to do, like, each one had one for each of the members. So I got one of them in sugar, of course, and it came this morning, so I'm really excited. It's very, very pretty. This is like an early anniversary gift. My anniversary is next month, but here we are. I'm gonna go to Target. It is my daughter's birthday this month, so I'm also shopping for her birthday, so we'll see how that goes. Other than that, it's Monday, so I'll start a new reading vlog in which I'll be reading Words of Radiance and then maybe something else, just to, you know, lighten my load, I guess. All right, that's it. I will see you guys in the next one. Like if you like this video, subscribe if you're new here and want to see more content from me. Let me know down below what you've been reading and how you've been doing, and if you have any reading plans for the rest of August or September. Spooky season is upon us. I'm thinking about getting the Owl Crate September box because I have a feeling I know what the book is. Spoilers ahead. I think it's Horrid by Katrina Leno, which is a book that I'd probably get anyway, but an exclusive cover of that, plus all the spooky themed stuff. I might get it. I might get it. I haven't gotten Owl Crate in a while because it's just like stuff that I wasn't reading YA. I'm not reading YA really that often, but I would read Katrina Leno, so that's it. All right. Okay, bye.